Hello and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Huddle. It's me and Faceless Bucks. By that I mean we have a cameraless relic, otherwise known as David Connor. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, before we start anything, there's a reason that everyone should look forward to the 21st of this month, and why is that, sir?
My brand new book, the Lawrence Grimes novels, book one, Cinder, is going worldwide on the 21st at 12 a.m.
See, there we go. Got to get that plug in early. Just that's your second book, so if people haven't read your first one, go out. He's at Barnes and Nobles and all this stuff. So make sure you check out his book. It's well worth it. So I wanted to make sure we did that. But along with being an author, he is an avid guest of this program and an avid Steeler fan. And we're going to talk free agency. So before we get started, generally about the Steelers, how you feeling about the franchise right
I'm all right. I was questionable when Mike Tomlin was, you know, suddenly just like, "Hey, goodbye." But
now?
I'm excited. This season feels a little different. Some moves have been made that feel a little different. So we'll see what happens. I guess you'd say I'm optimistic about this season.
Okay, well, you know what? I prefer optimistic, and I think there's a lot of realism this year in being optimistic. It's not just grabbing onto hopes. There's more further proof that we're building onto something that we started on the years before. So, we'll jump right into the free agency because it has been busy. I'm still not used to being a Steeler fan and watching a busy offseason.
No.
So we can go in whatever order you want. What is the first free agent that you want to talk about? Because there's actually a few that we got.
First free agent. Let's just get this one out of the way. Cameron Johnson, punter. Not
Oh,
much needs to be said about him. This is his third time with the Steelers.
yep.
Uh, we already know what his game is like. Great punter. Surprising we didn't keep him last year, but
Yeah.
yeah, just getting him out of the way first. He was the most non-surprising kind of one for me.
I, I
Um,
I agree. And Corliss Waitman is on his way somewhere. He just
49ers.
signed.
He
So
just
there
signed.
you go. He just signed with the 49ers. I thought I had seen
Congrats to Corliss Waitman. Thank you for your service last season.
it. Exactly. It was yeah. It could be worse. Who was the punter that we had before? Percy something?
I think so.
Something Harvin the third. Anyway, having
Presley
a
Harvin
solid
the third or whatever.
Presley, thank you. Yeah, having a solid punter, especially when you have a team that has a defense that is still as highly paid as ours, that's going to come down to that's going to be important down the road. So getting that one out of the way. What did you think of Jack Driscoll? Because we're going to build to the fun ones, so people are going to have to keep watching.
Jack Driscoll. So Philadelphia Eagle. He's a monster. He's 6'5", 312 lineman. Uh, Drafted in what 2020 by the Eagles.
Okay,
Uh,
I like that.
he's primarily been a backup tackle and guard, so that's good. He can play both. Um,
Versatility is important, especially when we have don't know a lot about Broderick.
I I'm a little
Oh, a
concerned.
sigh.
I'm a little concerned with him just because he's only started 17 out of 54 games.
That's
Um,
legitimate
he's
concerns.
bounced a bit between some teams. I will say that one big notable part of his resume is he was on the Super Bowl winning team for the Eagles when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. Um,
I like that's good experience because even if it's a depth piece, I'd prefer to have a depth piece with experience to teach our
yes,
other depth pieces that are younger. So
he
I like
I,
that.
I believe he played in the game as well because he was signed to the active roster that season late in the season. So I believe he was actually playing in the Super Bowl as well. So that's a plus for the team. We did bring him in the 2025 season on the practice squad, and we promoted him, I think, for the playoff game at the end of the season. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it now that he's re-signed. Is he coming in as a depth practice piece, or is he coming in to start?
Exactly. So we're slowly building up. So after that one, what's the next one that we've signed that kind of has you excited?
Next one, let's see, Asante Samuel Jr.
Oh,
cornerback. We know his game. He played for us. If anybody doesn't know him, he's 5'10", 180 pounds, originally drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers in 2021. Spent 4 seasons before landing in Pittsburgh last season. He's mostly a depth role, but he played well enough given the opportunities that Mike T and company gave him. Bringing him back to Pittsburgh, in my opinion, brings that depth cornerback position that we were so lacking in the end of the year last year. So the fact that he already pretty much knows the Steelers, pretty much knows the routine. I mean, we're bringing in a new defensive coordinator, so it'll be interesting to see how he's used, but he pretty much knows the system. And I mean, he's a quick little dude that we can quickly throw in there if we need. He did pretty good when he played for us. That's all I'm saying.
He did, and we took a risk because he was coming off an I'm pretty sure it was a neck injury, and
Yes.
those are always iffy, and no one wanted to take a chance on him, and we did, and I don't think that's just a Mike Tomlin thing. I think that's an organizational thing that we're willing to take that chance. If you've been injured or have that risk, we'll give you a shot. Hashtag Cole Holcomb. Uh, so after that, we have Sebastian Joseph Day. From what I've seen, he's just another kind of like Jack Driscoll, but on the other side of the trenches. He
Yeah,
is
I'm looking
a
at his
solid rotational depth piece.
played on the Titans. He's not, he's not really highly ranked in anything. So he's, like you said, depth piece.
Absolutely.
I mean, his best defensive rank here is per PFF is 16 and stops, and that's it. So he's bounced around. He's another one of those bounce arounder guys. He played on the Los Angeles Rams for 4 years, went to the Chargers for a while.
Okay.
Same
Journeyman, that's
year,
important.
2023, he went to the 49ers, and then he ended up on the Tennessee Titans, and now he's with us. So I don't see a lot coming from him, to be honest with you, but
Well,
I
that
am welcoming being surprised.
and that's fine because legitimately we don't need that. Because I'm sitting in my head, I'm going over the people that are going to be ahead of him. I'm like, we don't need him to be anything other than a depth piece. That's
Mm-hmm.
all we need because we have Cam Hayward, then we have Harmon, and then we have Keanu Benton, and we have Yaya Black, and that's just off the top of my head. That's definitely going to be in front of this guy. So
Yeah.
a piece where any of those guys can come off and get a breather, and someone reliable is going to come in, do his job, and come back out. I love that. So we've covered not the boring ones, but the more kind of blue collar ones, and now we're going to
Yes.
get to the ones that genuinely got me excited. And I don't like getting my hopes up, but they're up there, not lying. So out of all these, I'll give you a first pick because it's a good mix. Which of
I
our
mean,
fun signings?
you really got like 4 of them that signed that are like, oh my god. But I really got to drop that Jamal Dean cornerback.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Arguably the biggest and best cornerback of free agency. 6'1", 206 pounds. Uh, Steelers signed him to a 3-year, $36 million deal, which that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
We have Joey Porter Jr. We had a few other guys there. I think we lost 1 or 2 to free agency
Yeah, I think.
or injuries.
Where'd Pierre go? Did Pierre resign or did he go somewhere else?
James Pierre's out gone. He
Okay,
signed.
that's the one I was thinking.
I think he signed with the Giants, right? He was a day one sign of free agency.
I knew that we didn't have him. So yeah,
But
but so
going
Asante
back,
Samuel, JPJ,
yeah,
and now him.
I mean, going back to Jamal Dean, it's
Yeah,
pretty much a 100% chance he is on the other side of JPJ.
yeah,
100%. Uh,
absolutely.
I didn't expect Pittsburgh to go after a player like Jamal Dean. I thought we were going to draft a young guy early in the second or third, but I love this move. He was originally drafted by Tampa Bay, spent all 7 seasons with Tampa Bay. Surprising that they let him go. His career stats: 359 tackles, 61 pass deflections, 11 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. He also holds an NFL rookie record for pass deflections in his rookie season at 17. Adding adding Dean immediately strengthens the Steelers secondary and gives us a legitimate outside corner who can match up with almost any top receiver, barring your Hills and your Evans and stuff like that.
That's excellent. Oh, we got Nate Skinner jumping in saying that Sebastian is apparently excellent in the run, which is
Nice.
anything that is helpful with the run. I will take because my goodness
Anything.
gracious,
I mean,
my goodness,
not to stray too far off here, but
go for it.
you know, the Steelers, we are what, top 5 in most expensive defense, and we were ranked 28th in defense overall. Any
Yeah.
help that we can get in the run game, when you let the Dallas Cowboys, who can't run on anyone last season,
Uh
to just spank us, that we need all the help in the run game. So if what you say is true there, boss, I'll take it.
That's true. Well, let's jump from that to the other side of the run game because Nate also brought up the Khan said it was time to spend money. I love Rico Dowell. He may be the one, and Warren could be the two. And I gotta say, first of all, before we jump in here, where you have to say, we're like, I think that for anyone who doesn't know, we are the only team whose number one and number two, whichever ones they are, running backs are undrafted free agents. I think
Yes.
because of that, these guys genuinely I don't think they care too much who's the 1A and who's the 1B because they know they're going to have to be a team this year. Sure, someone might get a couple more carries than the other, but do you think that Rico Dowell instantly comes in and is the RB1? Or how do you
Yes.
think that affects things? Oh, okay.
Well, before that, I think it
Yes.
needs to be said there is no replacing Kenneth Gainwell. He is gone. He is going to be missed. We are going to miss his game.
Yes, very much.
Kenneth Gainwell, can't replace him. Awesome player last year. Team MVP. I am really upset that they let him go. And from all signs, it shows that they didn't even try to resign him. So if that's true, shame on the Pittsburgh Steelers. But going to Rico Dowdle, I think he is the number. I think he was signed to be the number one. Nothing against Jalen Warren. He didn't produce like he did years before last year. Uh, Maybe that'll change. But Rico Dowdle, I loved him with the Cowboys. I drafted him in my free agency fantasy football, and he's the reason I won a few games. So shout out to him. But he's a 5'11", 250 pounds or 15 pounds. Undrafted, like you said. Spent 4 seasons with Dallas. He made NFL history, becoming the first undrafted free agent to rush for over 1,000 yards in one season. And even more impressive, during the final 6 seasons of the 2020 or final 6 games of the 2024 season, he rushed for over 100 yards in each game, averaging 4.6 yards per carry. Then in 2025, he played for the Carolina Panthers, where he led the team in rushing. By the way, he was running back number 2 with the Carolina Panthers, and he still ended up with 1,076 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 297 receiving yards, 39 catches, and 1 touchdown. This kind of running back was, in my opinion, if you're letting Kenneth Gainwell go, this was a must-have. Not that big of a contract either. I believe it's a
Yeah, it's
1
not.
year. Is it a 1 year? I think it's a 1 year.
Trent's yelling at you.
Trent.
he doesn't know where his
Trent, I don't
camera
have
is.
the camera. I put it somewhere and lost it. I'm sorry. But Rico Dowdle, proven runner who can handle volume, as we've seen with the Cowboys. And I think this is a very underrated addition. And I think if he becomes the primary holder of the ball for the Steelers, regardless of who our quarterback is, he's going to make some problems for some defenses.
I agree. Now there is one specific part of his game that I know is a weakness that we're going to need Warren for, and that Dowell does not excel at pass protection.
No.
He is it's not his undersized. We've seen Jalen Warren take it on. This is not his natural skill set. So number one, the second he gets to the Pittsburgh where there's practice going on, he's just going to be doing blocking drills and that's it. No running the ball in practice. You know how to do that. Just block. But early on, until he can get that down, Warren's going to make his bread and butter off keeping whatever quarterback we have upright. So because
Yes.
and that's a great 1-2 punch. I like that. So after that, we didn't stop because we also have Darnell Savage. We filled out the safety position too because Omar Khan decided he just wanted to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Darnell Savage, safety, was not expecting that. 7-year veteran. He's 5'11", 198 pounds. He ran a 4.36 40 in his combine, so his speed is absolutely part of his game. Originally drafted by the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the 2019 draft, he spent 5 seasons with Green Bay before bouncing around a bit in 2025 with the Jaguars, Commanders, and Bills. Career-wise, he has been relatively productive. I mean, 371 total tackles, 10 interceptions, 41 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 2 forced fumble recoveries, and 1 defensive touchdown. I believe this adds, above anything, even if he does not start, he adds that veteran experience that we drastically need for safety. And maybe that means we can move what's his face? Jalen around. Am I saying his name right?
Jalen, yeah, Jalen. I think you're
Ramsey.
just read my
Ramsey.
mind.
We can move Ramsey around. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was about to ask how you thought that this signing affects what we're going to do with Jalen Ramsey, because there's quite a few people that say that they don't want Jalen Ramsey as the slot corner or as one of the 2 outside corners. Do you think that we're going to have Jalen Ramsey purely as a slot, or do you think we're going to keep him as a safety rotation?
Well, I don't think he's going back to cornerback.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to go back to cornerback. I think it's going to be a Darnell Savage and Ramsey kind of duo there, switching out. If they deploy Savage right, I think he'll be a nice rotational player, maybe a situational starter against certain defenses or certain looks. But it's hard to say because Ramsey, are we keeping him? Are we trading him? His contract's a little heavy. What are we doing there? I don't know what we're doing. That's all, because he came in supposed to be in a cornerback. Then we use him as safety. So is Mike McCarthy and the defense coach gonna keep him there, or you know what I mean? We just don't know at this point what their thought on him is gonna be.
No, and I do want to point out, maybe you saw something different. I haven't seen Ramsey ever say anything negative about him playing safety. In fact, it seemed that while it was challenging, he seemed to really enjoy it. And so I think if we ask him to do it again, that he'll do it. But what I'm wondering is if we're going to draft Ramsey out of a job, because as later on when we get to the draft and stuff, there's a very good chance we decide to go safety. And if there's a couple who might fall into our laps that if they do, those are day 1 starters.
Yeah.
And so if that does happen, then I'll get on the maybe move Ramsey. But for right now, considering that a team would have to take on his contract, because Steelers don't like dead money. We are not the Dolphins. We do not take on that kind of dead money. But that's the only way I can see us moving Ramsey, is if something that we couldn't say no to in the draft suddenly made him expendable.
I mean, I hope we don't lose him. I hope we keep him. I love Jalen.
Agreed. And not just that, he's an energy guy that after playing through what had to have been a frustrating year last year, because I think
Yeah.
everyone, especially all the veterans coming in, I get to play for Mike Tomlin. We're all here. The Steelers were and falling short the way they did. I think he wants to make up for that. I genuinely thinks he does. So, and I
Yes.
think a little bit of him, and I don't know if this is true. I've never spoken to Jalen Ramsey. I do not know him, but I'm just wondering if he wants to put it out there like I'm more than just the guy Tomlin wanted. I can be someone outside of that, and I'm hoping that he gets to really make identity known even more this year. We've talked about
Well,
all of them. Oh, continue.
to piggyback off what you said, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
he wants to prove that he's more than just a Tomlin guy who Tomlin wanted. But part of me has to ask the question, did Terrell Austin use him the wrong way?
Um, I, I, I don't know. I don't know if there's a nice way to say this, so I'm just going to say this. I don't think Terrell Austin was a complete enough defensive coordinator to know how to use Jalen Ramsey in the right way.
Yeah, and I mean,
I don't.
I you have to question that and be like, hey, are did are we seeing the same thing that happened with Minka, throwing him into stuff that he wasn't
Mm,
really ready for and or used in, and that's why his production dropped. So, are we going to see a bounce back to that top 5 Jalen Ramsey this coming year with a new a new defensive coach, and a new head coach overall that's going to have new schemes and new ways to use them? Or are we just going to see the same, Steelers defense that he's going to just be all over the place and he's going to be where they need him to be?
it
I
would
think
be.
he's going to I think he's going to want to
It,
show that he's back to that top 5.
I agree.
I'm a team player, but I'm also that top 5. I'm going to, this is my field kind of play, which will be
That's true.
interesting to see.
I think every other year there was very good reason for the wash, rinse, repeat kind of thing. But we didn't just have a coach move on. We the majority of the direct connections to the Mike Tomlin era on the coaching staff are no longer here.
Yes.
Especially when both coordinators are no longer there. So this is me and Nate talked about it last week, that the fan base hasn't made that shift, like an oil tanker doing a really really slow move. That we're not in that era anymore. We're in a new era with new, and I mean this, competent, real. Because Arthur was never supposed to be forever. He was supposed to simply be better than Matt Canada. That's all he had to be. He was. Now we move on to someone who hopefully continues to know what they're doing.
Right.
Um,
It
yeah,
was I just need to throw this in, Zach. It was
absolutely.
so frustrating because I mean, if memory serves me correct, and I'm sure Trent and anybody else in the chat can say this, but it was so frustrating hearing week after week after week for the last 3 or 4 seasons that teams knew what we were going to do defensively.
Mm. Oh, I agree.
So, as you were saying, I just it just needs to be said. New faces, Mike Tomlin's, that rule with an iron fist. He ruled on the Iron Throne. It's just not here anymore. And maybe we have those competent coaches again of old that are like, we're not playing that football no more. We're playing Steelers football. And hand to God, Zach, we'll know week 1 what kind of football we're playing. I
It,
truly believe that with it's a new era, and we'll see what happens.
we do, and there's just one, and it's a simple thing that I'm looking forward to when that happens. Because like I said, I don't bet, but if I did, I would put money on this. That for the first time in a very long time, we're going to do easy football things regularly.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a long time on defense and offense. We're going to do that. We're not going to try and outsmart ourselves, or if we do, it's not going to be in the same frustrating way that we've seen for a long time. No hate towards Tomlin, so but just the frustrating staleness of certain things. It's another person thinking that there's David thinking that you're having a better day.
I actually got a haircut a couple weeks ago. New era, new Cam. Let's go. Yes, Trent.
Okay, so we talked
one more
about
thing before we move on to the next
absolutely
player.
continue.
This is for you and chat. Mike McCarthy comes in this season, and the defense sucks. Coach sucks. Do you feel that Mike McCarthy is the type of coach that's going to be like, "Hey, defense guy, see you later"?
I don't think it'll be like that. I'm hoping that they have enough foresight to sit down and come. I know what this season is because this is very very rare and weird in the NFL. Where this is the first time we have a new coaching staff in what almost 20 years.
Yep.
So I don't think it's a if it doesn't work, burn it down. But I do think that even if no one's saying it, for a lot of players on this defense, highly paid, very well respected defensive players, this is a prove it year. Prove why you're here, prove why your money is here, because the connections to the people who brought you here are not here anymore.
Right.
And you get 1 year in a new system with people that know how to use you now. If you don't produce, then next year there's going to be a lot of moves that I'm not going to be able to say, well, they can't do that because the players would have left them no choice. So I don't think it'll be a blame it on the coach. I think it'll be a lot of these players need to produce now.
Yes, I will be surprised if honestly, if TJ Watt has another dull year, injuries or anything, I will be surprised if he's on the team next year.
And actually, I'll agree with that.
Not like cut, but I think he will be traded.
No, I agree. I actually saw something disappointing. I forget who it was. I wanted to give him a shout out. They did like a preview of what 2026 would like for each of the teams, and they predicting TJ Watt to have less than 8 sacks. And I looked at that, and a part of me got really angry, but then a part of me realized that that's not an unrealistic universe to one day live in. It's not the one I want to live in, and I don't think we will. But it's and every time we bring it up, like my stomach hurts thinking about that. But,
well, that depends if you're looking at the sack. If you're looking at just the sacks and he doesn't produce in the sacks, that's one thing. But if he's not producing the fumbles, if he's not getting that QB pressure, if he's not getting those interceptions that he just is gifted by really dumb quarterbacks, I think that's who are those? Oh yeah, the Browns. Sorry, Browns. We know you suck, but keep giving those balls to TJ. But if he overall is low, production wise, I think that's an issue. If he's down, 7 sacks for next year, I don't think that's the biggest problem for the Steelers. You know what I mean? If he's still game wrecking and doing what he usually does, then sure. But if he's overall low, I think that's a problem. And I think a lot of Steelers fans and like people who cover him focus too much on the sacks, because TJ isn't just a sack master. He's gotten interceptions for us before. He's gotten a lot of fumbles. I believe last season he ran the fumble category. Fumbles went through him. So
I agree on
that. It all depends on how he plays overall. I mean, is he going to win Defensive Player of the Year? No. But just play well enough. You know what I mean? Play well enough to be, I'm TJ Watt and I still got it. That's all I ask.
Now, what do you think that means that we finally have to see TJ moved around? Or do you think that okay.
You don't even have to finish. You don't have to finish that. Yes. Stop using TJ to cover wide receivers. I know that's where he gets a lot of his interceptions, but you can see it. He's slow.
And
he's
actually,
slow in the coverage.
We'll dig a little bit more because we're down this rabbit hole, so we might as well go down it. Into the X's and O's on that, because while yes, TJ should never be in coverage, I don't blame TJ for that, because the thing that Terrell Austin was terrible at is he could not figure out how to not get out schemed. Every time an offense looked, they're like, oh, and they just called a play to get linebackers who shouldn't be covering, like a Landon Roberts was in coverage and Peyton Wilson was stuck inside, and they just, it was so easy. So they just looked and like, oh, well, we know what the defense is running. Let's just make sure that TJ has to cover, and we just would never adjust to that. So I'm hoping that and maybe with a new coordinator that there's not enough, the familiarity. TJ will speak up and say, no, it's not going to work. I got to be on the other side for this. At least I'm hoping that's what's going to happen.
There were a lot of plays. One of them sticks out that I don't know which team did it. I think it was the Browns or the Ravens that did it, but their edge, he, instead of just going straight because he was gonna get chipped, he backed up and went around his other defender and got a sack. And I mean, we see these things happen all over the league except for the Steelers.
And it's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's the same thing as Terrell Austin looking at Jamar Chase running slant after slant after slant and saying, he's done that a lot. If only we could do something. Oh, yeah. Well. That's honestly what it was like. I get mad at TVs a lot. That particular game, I had to apologize to my cats for some of the things I said that day.
That was the first game I walked away from last season.
It was really, really frustrating, but we're on a positive trend. So let's move quickly out of the rabbit hole and talk about, to me, what was the biggest number one surprise. I really didn't expect this. I didn't trust all the people that said it would happen, but we finally, after wishing for it for so long, have a real wide receiver too. Like a real one, not one that we're saying, look, that guy is, and it's just a guy in his dad's suit saying, yes, I really am. Michael Pittman is a legitimate wide receiver too. So, Relic, what do you think about our new shiny wide receiver too?
Our new shiny wide receiver too. Zach, do we get to talk about him? First and foremost, gotta say thank you very much, Calvin Austin. You will be missed. Good luck with the Giants. He was one of my favorite players on the team, even if he wasn't considered a wide receiver 2 or 3. He just really good guy. I was so happy when he caught, those big touchdown passes. But you will be missed, and thank you for all that you've done. Moving on to Michael Pittman, this was, I think, the biggest signing for the Steelers out of everyone they signed. 6'4", 223. This move addresses multiple needs for the offense just to get that pressure off of our wide receiver 1. We really did need another big guy on the other side of the field. Pittman, he was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts in the second round of the 2020 draft, spent 5 seasons with the Colts before hitting free agency, which I kind of understand why he hit free agency, but I still don't, to be honest with you. Colts, you're going to be missing him, I think. Pittsburgh signed 100%. Pittsburgh signed him to a 3-year, $59 million contract, which, if you know the Steelers, that's unheard of for wide receivers. Usually we do not pay big money for wide receivers. So kudos to them. His career stats speak for themselves. 485 receptions, 5,254 receiving yards, and 25 touchdowns. Pittman brings that size, physicality, and reliability, and he is an immediate upgrade to the wide receiver core, and I am daring to say maybe a top 7 wide receiver duo right now without seeing it. He is that third down. I will get you that third down in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, if we need him to get the ball, he's going to go up and extend that play, kind of like how we wanted Chase Claypool to be. But unfortunately, the hands just were butter. Love you, Chase. Hope you come back. But yeah, I'm excited for this one.
This was exciting because the thing that this does, it takes a little bit of pressure off the hunt for a QB and whoever's going to be back there, because we pretty much told whoever is going to be under center, look, you got a brand new running back we're definitely going to draft some kind of offensive lineman at some point, and we brought you Alex Pierce. And by the way, we're going to use the middle of the field again. So while I don't think they did that to attract anyone to come back, I think what they did is they set themselves up with an offense that is ready for whichever quarterback happens to be there. It is not built for a quarterback and it's specific. It's just built to succeed. And I think that's going to work well because I know you're really big on not the Will Howard train because of the hype, but you really think letting Will Howard just straight up ball out is the way to go.
I'm a Will Howard fan. Like we said in the pre-show, I don't watch college football. The night before the draft, I will catch, highlights. When we draft someone, I'll catch the highlights of that specific player. Will Howard seems like the guy, you know what I mean? He just seems like he's that guy for Steelers, kind of like how Kenny Pickett was. You know what I mean? Like the fan base was there. Kenny Pickett just didn't develop. He didn't work out, which is fine. We tried it. It didn't work. And look what happened. He went to another team, got a Super Bowl. Congratulations, Kenny Pickett. Thank you for your time with the Steelers. Please don't ever come back. McDonald's is waiting. Will Howard, on the other hand, he just seems like, he seems like that commander of the offense. We have not seen a snap from him since preseason, but that's okay. 2027 draft looks like to be a big draft for quarterbacks. And that's not just me saying it, who doesn't know anything. That's everyone else saying it who does know something. So there you go. Forgive at this point. Do not give Mason the ball. We need to see what Will Howard has. And even if Will Howard is not the guy, his gameplay will be elevated by Pat Freiermuth, by Michael Pittman, and I don't even want to say his name at number one because he needs to win us a game after the stupid punching incident of 2025.
Yeah.
So until that happens and he gets a touchdown for the team, I am not saying his name, but all three guys should elevate whoever is in quarterback play for the Steelers, whether that's, what's his name? Will Howard, some old guy down the street, or whoever. Give it to him. You need to. He hasn't, you know what I mean? We haven't seen him play with the ones.
We have, and there's not a lot of horrible things that could happen because it's the same thing we were talking about earlier about the veil of we haven't moved away from the last era of Steelers football, and now with this new coaching staff, there's no record anymore. There's no non-losing record. It's done. That's gone. Done. Moved away. That's written, and he is retired, so it's done. We can lose. We're allowed to go out and say we tried and we lost, and we're going to try something different because we're not one quarterback away. And when teams aren't a quarterback away, they have to try and fail. And if nothing else, come on, Will Howard seems like a really nice guy. It'd be nice to see him win, right?
Yeah. It would be nice to see what we have in him. We drafted him for a reason. Somebody saw something in him. So, I mean, at this point, after the Kenny Pickett debacle, you cannot take preseason for anything at this point. I don't ever want to hear anybody say that Will Howard is busted or not because he didn't play well in preseason. Fuck that. I want to see Will Howard under center taking snaps from the first and second team. That's all I want. If he wins, great. If he wins again, awesome. If he wins again, do we have something? If he sucks, okay, ride it. What's the worst that's going to happen? First round pick? Like, okay, let's go.
That's actually a good, and since 2027 is, in the distance, but 2026 is right here. That's a perfect segue. Because we are going to start talking about the draft. Yes. Now, we raved about the job Omar Khan did in free agency. But it's kind of like when you're halfway through Christmas morning and you look over and you realize there's more presents to open. We haven't even got to the draft. Like we are so happy this improved offense. We have 12 draft picks.
The most picks in the NFL right now.
And we could have more. We don't know what Omar Khan could do. He might think 12's not enough. I want 15. I don't know.
I mean, that's absurd. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Right now, Zach, 12, if we draft 12 people, we are not having 12 people make the team. Maybe 6.
Now, wouldn't that be amazing if they did, though? I mean, if they did, you heard it here first. The 12 rookies starting team. But no. So we'll start out with the one that's kind of tricky, because while I do think it should be involved, a lot of other people are putting too high a priority on it. But we'll start with where you think quarterback should be, because I know you said you haven't watched a lot of college football, but in the research that you did to prep, what did you find out about the college football quarterbacks that might be around the Steelers?
So for my draft quarterback scheme, everything, I looked at multiple websites. I looked at multiple players, and I could really only find 2 suitable quarterbacks. Now, these are not perfect scenario. These are get us to next year. These are, living on a prayer. And these are only if Aaron Rodgers does not come back. If Aaron Rodgers does not come back, you must draft someone. I don't trust anybody other than Kirk Cousins, but I don't also see that happening. So my quarterback signings of the draft, my number 1 is Ty Simpson. Now, let me tell you why. Ty Simpson is 6'1", 211 pounds with a 9 3/8 inch hands. Earlier in the scouting cycle, around November, he was actually considered a top 5 prospect. Now, he has slid quite a bit, but I think he has the potential to be a starter around the caliber of... That's the hard part, because I see a lot of Mac Jones in him, but I don't see the Mac Jones of the 49ers. More so of the Patriots, where they went 3 and whatever. I like his composure. I like how he manages the offense. He has the ability to throw that ball, with efficiency, but he does have some serious weaknesses that will have to be addressed. He only has 1 full season of college experience as a starter. At times, he's getting baited by safeties, and that needs to be all drafted up. His arm talent is not elite. It is not good enough to be a big time quarterback in the NFL. But do we need him to be? You know what I mean? Mason Rudolph is not a big time thrower, and he was able to do some stuff. His decision making, it needs to be improved, but I think if Pittsburgh wants a developmental quarterback with upside. Now, I'm not talking about franchise quarterback. I'm talking about with upside that will get us to next year with a relative top 15 pick. I think he would be interesting. Hand him the reins if you think he's got it. My number 2, which I do not recommend. This is the only other one that I liked. I don't know if I can pronounce his last name, so I'm sorry. Garrett Nussmeier?
Yep. Straight up. Yep. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
I want to throw this out that Garrett Nussmeier is not a long-term starter, and he is not my top pick. He is just the other quarterback that I liked what I saw. He's 6'2", 203 pounds, 9 3/8 or 1/8 inch hands. I just personally like him, but I'm not convinced that he's a long-term starter. In fact, I think he is a career backup. He will be a career backup. I think he'll be better than Mitch Trubisky, but I think he'll be worse than Mason Rudolph, if that helps. But, I mean, again, if we're just trying to get to next year, I'm sure he will do fine. He has a tendency to force throws that don't need to be forced. He locks himself into predetermined plays and reads, and he does not adjust to the defense when they rotate. This leads to the ball being at risk more often than you'd think. I don't like the Steelers drafting him, but again, if you need someone to go out there and play, if you really don't trust Will Howard, if you really don't trust Mason Rudolph again or any of the other vets, I guess he will do. And after that, I don't have a third prospect.
Yeah, it gets tough there.
And I see the chat hating my draft, my QB picks. I'm sorry, I had to choose someone.
The thing about Nussmeier and Simpson is whenever I went into this, and I've done a lot of mock drafts. That's become my new thing now that fantasy football is done and I can't actually draft. I'm doing the mock drafts, and the biggest thing is I gave myself a firm line that I'm not taking a quarterback higher than late fourth round, because to me, that's where the priority lies for the Steelers and quarterback right now. We're not a quarterback away. If we have, what do you want to see what young quarterbacks can do? We got one in the locker room and we got the vet there. We just need to bring anyone else in. And Nussmeier.
Pause that, because if you're pick 21 this year, right?
Yeah.
If Ty Simpson falls to you at 21 and you don't have any hope or belief in what you have, don't you kind of have to take him just to like get through?
Because if taking a quarterback in the first round, like we've learned with Kenny Pickett, means you're starting. And I don't like that the pressure it puts. There's already too much pressure on the Steelers as it is to do something at quarterback. I actually Trent called me ahead of time right here. I looked at what was going on, and because of Ty Simpson and Nussmeier both coming from the pedigree that they have and playing at big time schools, the I should be starting now thing is an issue. I don't like that. Plus, there's much better players at 21 that we could take. And if we're going to lose, let's lose with Howard. But if we want to take a quarterback, if we want to take a quarterback that we know is a project, we know is good upside and could be a lot of fun, we don't need to take Nussmeier. We got Taylon Green, and Taylon Green is going to be there in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, and might be there afterwards. He has a very high ceiling, but you got to get him there, and that's the problem. Because he is not an accurate quarterback, but he's fast as fuck. 4.37 40-yard dash, and he becomes more accurate when he's on the run.
Which is cool.
Yeah, no, when people look into Taylon Green, he starts looking more, and he can move at that 6'6" that moves at 4.37, and he runs on the. Now, when you take away all the athletic stuff, it's risky, but because it will most likely be a 7th round pick, that's lower than a Howard pick. So if it turns out that he does a DeMarcus Russell and doesn't know how to study tape, then you just cut him. But if it turns out you got a guy that I specifically said in my notes that you want a guy that views the bench as growth instead of a demotion. And I kind of feel like Taylon Green's going to come in with that kind of bring your lunch pail to work thing. Whereas Ty Simpson would come in saying, I played at Alabama, why am I not starting? That's just my gut feeling. I don't know Ty Simpson personally or anything like that. I haven't watched a lot of personal interviews with him. But I imagine you come from Alabama, you got to have that feling in your head somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, quarterback. Now, because quarterback, even if we don't get anybody, it could be fine. But if we do get someone, we got to keep them upright. We don't know what's going on with Broderick Jones. Isaac Seumalo is gone. By the way, thank you, Isaac. I thank you for being the adult in that room when we didn't have an adult in that room. Genuinely appreciate that.
Was he? He kind of threw some shots.
Oh no, I meant whenever things were going really rough, he outperformed a lot of the guys around him and made us look better as an offensive line unit when we weren't that good. Now he couldn't do it forever, so it failed near the end. But I mean, he came in, he did his job, and that's all I can ask from him. But we might bring someone in. So, is there any offensive linemen that, whenever you're doing research, that stood out?
I have 3 offensive linemen. Uh, I have 1 guard and 2 offensive tackles that I like. Um,
Okay,
I think regardless of what we do at quarterback, I don't know if this guy's going to be there. I'm sorry. I don't watch, I don't look at what other teams need or
yeah.
whatever. Um, I love Chase Bisonis by Bisontis. Is that I'm horrible with names. I'm sorry. He is my top guard prospect. He's 6'5", 315 pounds. I love this guy's mentality. He plays tough, physical. He fits the Steelers' identity almost to a T in my book. He does a lot of things well. Settles his feet in pass protection. Strikes defenders with strong inside hand placement. Keeps his hips loose and mobile, able to switch when needed. His arm length is a little shorter than ideal from what I've gathered. He can occasionally be vulnerable to spin counters when defensive players get the edge leverage. But overall, I think he would be a great second to third round addition. I don't think he should be our first priority.
Agreed.
But I do like his tape. I do like, how he looks like the Steeler type. I could be totally wrong here, but I like me some Chase. I like me some Chase. Uh, Moving on to offensive tackle, uh,
Yeah.
I got Caden Proctor,
Oh, yes.
6'7", 352 pounds. This guy is what I'd call the big man on campus, offensive
Ah,
lineman. Uh, in my look, he can play both guard and tackle, so I believe he would be more of a look than Chase. But I do like me some Chase. He has incredible size, great length. He's able to completely engulf defenders at the second level. In pass protection, he settles into his reps well, and he shows excellent hand timing and hand strength. Uh, when he gets a hands on his defender, it's usually over. At least what we saw in college. Um, Caden Proctor, I think if he falls to you in the third round, don't think he will, but give me some Caden Proctor. If he doesn't fall, I think we should go Monroe Freeling, another
okay.
monster, 6'7", 315 pounds. He's right there with Proctor in my book in terms of upside. What stands out with him is his athleticism for such a big guy. He moves extremely well for his size. He moves almost like a tight end, which when he's leading backs or getting out of screens, that's important. He has his quickness to redirect defenders and move attackers off their angles, which is a big help for such a battered Steelers offensive line. We just we get guys and they either fall or they break. And I feel like one of those 3 will not fall and will not break. Um, if we're
Okay.
going offensive tackle first round, Caden Proctor, Monroe Freeling, that's it.
I like that. Now, if we don't happen to go first round, then there's some nice depth pieces that
Yes.
I looked at there. You got Kalen Rutledge, is an interior lineman from Georgia Tech, is right around that third round thing, and he's played all 4 years at right guard. I mean, that's consistency. It's not I've moved around all this. That's a guy you can come in and plug in right away. Um, he does have some fundamental issues, but his physical characteristics might actually help him outweigh that as long as you have the coaching. But if he comes
Okay.
in and he doesn't have the coaching, I still think he could be a middling offensive lineman, but he could be a low end high ceiling kind of guy, like not a Sayamalu, but like the next step down from where he is if everything goes right. outside of that, I don't know why I kept finding this guy in the majority of drafts that I did. Pat Coogan out of Indiana. He protected the Heisman winner. No sacks allowed in 2025 and one total sack allowed in his entire career. The one thing though that is an issue with him that we'd have to coach out that I saw is if he doesn't get that hole or get the block right away, the second move for defensive lineman is going to beat him. And
Yes.
that he's got to work on that. That's an issue that I don't want seeing coming in. But those two guys I think could really, really work well. And Pat Coogan's not he's like late round, fifth or sixth round. So we take him with the expectation of coaching him up. Because I want us to double dip at either wide receiver or defensive lineman. Or I really, really, and I think we're not done taking cornerbacks yet. So
Agreed.
was there a defensive lineman that stood out? Because there was a couple that stood out to me.
Um, yes, I didn't look too much into it because we already do have a good amount of defensive talent with the guys that we got last year and some guys that we re-signed. I do think that it's time to start thinking about the future behind Cam Hayward. Um, I don't see Cam Hayward getting another contract, regardless of how good he plays next year or whatever. I'm going to give him 2 to 3 years max left on the Steelers. Um, and it's time we start. It's time we start looking at someone who can, replace that. My number one and really only number one out of the top three was Caden McDonald,
Oh, I've
6'2",
heard a lot about him.
362 pounds. When I look at this pick, I'm strictly looking at Cam Hayward's replacement. Let me be very clear. It's going to be very hard to replace Cam Hayward when he retires. But
Yes.
realistically, Cam Hayward cannot be on the roster forever. We don't need 40-year-old Cam breaking his hip. I think the Steelers need to eventually step into that role and look at a replacement for Cam Hayward. So McDonald is my pick. He has the size, power to become that kind of presence and pressure the defensive line needs next to Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon, I don't believe, can play tackle. I believe he's a
Don't believe.
defensive end. So I think those two, Caden McDonald next to Derek Harmon might be a little scary. I don't want to see that coming at me. But I like Caden McDonald's tape. Again, this is all just a couple of hours of research, so I could be very wrong that he's not that good. But
Well,
I like
no,
what I saw.
the Steelers actually agree with you because they haven't. I think they only have 2 or 3 players they brought in for their top 30 visits, but McDonald was one of them.
Okay.
So the Steelers do agreed with you that they see something in him. Now, when I've done my mock drafts, I've more often than not, which surprised me, there was defensive linemen all over the place, sitting at that first round pick. But I don't think we're there yet. But I do like a name if we want to wait for a little bit. I love Alabama trench players. I just feel like you played the trenches in Alabama, you have the potential to be good. And Tim Keenan, the third out of Alabama, is like a fourth round ish player.
Okay.
And incredibly high end. And the word that everyone used when they're talking about him is anchor. This guy is not going to move. Now, the problem is when it comes to athletics, this guy is not going to move. He is not a good lateral mover. He's not going to chase somebody down. He is there to take up 2 or 3 guys and then fall over on a running back. That's his job. We haven't had a guy do that since Casey Hampton. And I when you don't have it, you miss it. And like you said, we don't have there we go. Yeah, Tim, he is nice agreement. He is a sneaky good player, and we wouldn't have to sell a lot to get him. Even if we had to use one of our third round picks, that would be nice. But the one thing that I'm looking at that even though we got Pittman and that's fine, I want wide receivers and I want all of them as much as I can get. So is there a wide receiver that you're like that stuck out to me?
I got 3 wide receivers because I'm tired of this bullshit of nobody catching nothing. I don't know about
Yes,
you, Zach.
I am.
I'm tired of watching other teams, get a player like Chase or a player like Puka or any of the other top wide receivers that were in the series last year that were rookies. So I'm tired of seeing it. So my top three, and these are my, if I was drafting, these are my number 1 and number 2 picks. If I didn't
Okay.
get if I picked a
Ooh.
wide receiver in the first round, this is who I'd pick. If I'm picking it in the second, this is who I'd pick. My
Gotcha.
number 1 is KC
Concepcion.
Concepcion. Thank you. I did not want
No,
to.
I'm guessing too, but I think that's how you say it. If not,
I
I am so sorry, Casey.
I didn't want to say that one first. I would have butchered that. 6 foot,
You're
even
good.
196 pounds, and I think he could immediately step in as wide receiver 3. I don't know what the hell's going on with Roman Wilson. I don't really care about Roman Wilson. Send him to New Jersey. I don't even care. Casey Concepcion, I think, could step in today as wide receiver 3. He accelerates incredibly well for the first 10 to 15 yards, and he does a great job punishing press coverage with vertical separation, his footwork, his route quickness. He just creates space constantly. And I know some people in the chat are going to hate this next comment. I'm sorry. But with
Uh-oh.
Calvin Austin leaving, we don't have that speed besides wide receiver 1. Again, I'm not saying his name until he catches a pass or a touchdown. But I think KC Conception could step in for that speedy, wide receiver 3. He's obviously not going to be number 1, number 2 on the Steelers, but he's that young guy that we need to build. You know what I mean? We need that young wide receiver that can come in, immediately start showing his presence. And I think KC Concepcion could do that. If KC is gone, then I got Chris Brazel the second. I hope I'm saying your name right, Chris. He's 6'4", 198 pounds, another monster-sized wide receiver. He reminds me a lot of Christian Watson. Love me some Christian Watson. Brazel's a big-bodied receiver with long arms. He has a wide catch radius, and he's extremely efficient on jump balls, which we wish, again, Chase Claypool was. RIP Chase Claypool's NFL career. I hope you're doing well modeling in India or whatever the fuck you're doing. His size and body control allows him to overwhelm smaller quarterbacks in contested catches or catching situations. I love that. If we do not go Chris Brazel, then I must say he's a little bit further down my draft, but Ted Hurst. Give me some Ted Hurst.
Yes.
He's my
Yes, he's on
third.
my list too.
He's my third prospect for the wide receiver category. He's 6'4", 206 pounds. And while he may not be as highly ranked as the other two, there's still a lot to like. He's excellent downhill speed. Gets going. Once he gets going, he has that second gear that we've seen wide receiver 1 do. I guess I'll say his name, Metcalf. But he can stretch. He stretches defenses vertically. His footwork is quick. And when he needs to get the ball in his hands, he has that ability to put it away with almost any angle that's thrown his way. Please, Steelers, do what every team has done the last 5 years. Draft a wide receiver in 1 or 2. We need it. We cannot be down wide receivers. We just can't.
Oh,
We've
I
been down the
100%
last
agree.
4 years. I'm not doing it again, Zach. One of
Well,
these three has to be a Steeler, in my opinion.
I agree. And I the thing that I love about Hurst that you said, with the body size that he has, he runs a 4.42.
Yeah.
That's a fast human being. Now, the one thing that I have heard that we can teach him if we get him, because we're not talking a first or second round pick. This guy's going to be a late third or fourth round pick. So we have like 3 third-round picks, so we can use one of them on him.
One of them
he
has
has
to be a wide receiver.
He has to learn that he has a big body. And what that means is when he runs every once in a while, he catches like a smaller receiver. He doesn't use his size to box people out. I don't think he has a basketball background, which might be why he doesn't naturally know how to box people out. But I'm hoping that no one in the NFL watched the Senior Bowl because he balled out.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone looking at that. But if you were talking about a Calvin Austin replacement, so I'll bring up a fun name that I saw. Brennan Thompson out of Mississippi State, 4th or 5th round guy. He's 5'9", 164, but he wants a 4.26. He's a blazing fast human being, and it's just the fact that he's really small and people are worried about his endurance and capability of playing at the NFL level that is holding him back. But would not mind if we went on and got Brennan Thompson. That's the Calvin Austin replacement for me, because while Concepcion could come in and be similar, this would not cost us an upper round one.
I will say, Zach, while you're speaking, I am looking at CBS's mock draft, and it has 3 or 4 wide receivers going in the first round. Our first wide receiver goes to the Saints. Carnell Tate at pick 8, followed by Makai Lemon.
Makai Lemon out of USC.
Cowboys, pick 20. It has the Steelers choosing CJ Allen, linebacker. I don't like that.
See, with all those other wide receivers okay, I'm going to get mad about that later. Continue.
Jordan Tyson, wide receiver to the Browns for pick 24. I don't like the Browns choosing a wide receiver before us. But that's okay. They don't have a quarterback. They'll never have a quarterback. Directly after that, we got Omar Cooper Jr., picked by the the Bears at pick 25. And then our final wide receiver, pick 30, going to the Broncos, is Casey Concepcion. I don't know, Zach. If Casey Concepcion is there at 21, I'm picking a wide receiver at 21. You can't let these wide receiver needy teams take these good wide receivers before you. You just can't.
No. I think there has to be, like, if anyone has watched Ted Lasso, they have a giant believe sign up there. I think when they walk in, there should be a giant that says WR. Only thing in the front office before everything. If you have seen the movie Draft Day, have a little note in your pocket. Should always be wide receiver, because I there's one draft I had us taking 4 wide receivers. Most of them I have us taking 3. It's we need a complete reset of this room. And I'm really not. So I like that you brought up Omar Cooper Jr. Denzel Boston out of Washington could also be one for the first round.
I will say, not to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Pick number 53 for the Steelers. CBS has them going wide receiver Zachariah Branch.
Hell yeah, no, Zachariah. He's another small one, 5'8", 177. But runs a 4.35.
I don't think we need these small guys. I don't think we need.
We need one. We need one. Not all of them. We need one. That's the problem with before. We just took a bunch of guys. We need one Calvin Austin replacement. Just one. And Zachary Branch would be a late second to mid 4th. And if we use one of our thirds on that, I wouldn't mind.
Not because you can't use a second on a player like him.
No. He's projected to go. I would say he's one of our thirds on him if he's still there. Because he's just so, and the way some people run, some people glide. He has a very natural movement when he moves, and that makes it harder for defenders to see what he's going to do, and that adds a little bit of trickery. You know what? I'm being roasted. I said one. I specified one Calvin Austin replacement. Everyone coming in here, a bunch of fuckers. You know what? Yeah, just for that, we're gonna move off wide receiver unless you have another one you want to talk about.
No, those are my top 3. Those are the ones that I like.
Okay.
I think I will say the feeling that I like the big fast guys.
we need the big fast guys, but we need one David, you fucking bastard, one short guy. I've listed a couple. I didn't say we should take all of them. I said we should take one. God damn it. I whenever I do the mock drafts and what I believe the Steelers need, I think we're going to take another cornerback. I genuinely think that we're going to, but I didn't research any. Because that's way too up in the air. What I did do, as I know we did that, we looked into safeties.
Yes.
So what safety would you like, realistic or not? Let's talk about this before we gotta
go. You just feel like we're going safety at some point in the first 5 rounds because of how many picks we have. So I looked at one. My prospect is Emmanuel McNeil Warren. He's 6'3.5", 201 pounds. He has great length, physical tools. What stands out to me is his awareness and his anticipation and coverage. He brings that kind of physical toughness and run defense that the Steelers really need. Another stat that jumps off the page is he had 9 forced fumbles during his college career. And honestly, that's the kind of disruptive playmaking you want as a Steeler. Even if he sucks covering the ball, I mean, I don't know about you, Zach, but I'll take a player who sucks at pass deflection for a guy who will hit the ball out of your hand and then
100%
pick it up.
And you got it really right here, because not only is the chat with you, I know for a fact Nate Skinner is with you because McNeil Warren is one of his favorite players, but I am also looking at my notes where I have Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So this is, you knocked this one out of the park. I genuinely think the problem is I cannot see him falling out of the first round.
No.
I cannot. So I don't mind if we use a first round pick on him. He's not a Caleb Downs, but goodness, that ceiling's high.
He's a top 2 safety in this draft.
Well, it's him and Downs.
It's him and Downs by the NFL.
Oh,
NFL is listing him as a top 2 out of all safeties.
If he drops, that's fine, because I watched the film of him. And normally when you see players that pick off a lot of passes or knock a lot out or make a lot of hits, you see them taking those high-risk things. And he looks so incredibly confident with every one he does that he's never taking a high risk. He is always something that he can make up. If he makes the mistake, he can make up for the error just with his natural athleticism. And I like that.
I will say, per CBS Sports, I don't know how, correct they are with these things. But Emmanuel McNeil Warren is, at least by CBS standards, to be taken round 1, pick 19. Let me ask you this, Zach. If he somehow falls to pick 21, do you feel comfortable taking him as your number 1 pick?
I would say yes, with a caveat. I would need to see what other wide receivers are on the board, because there's certain in my head, wide receiver is a higher priority. And if the best wide receiver and the best cornerback, the best safety fell at the same time, I would take the best wide receiver.
Okay.
So that's just in my head how it is. But I have another really fun safety that people are talking about, but isn't predicted to go to like the 3rd round. Kamari Ramsey out of USC is a really fun guy. Should be a day 1 starter. As long as people that draft him understand what he does. He loves football and loves whatever team he's on so much. He has said in almost every interview he will do whatever he is asked, and he means it. But if a team comes in, says you're a deep safety, cut off half of that field, he will do everything to make sure that happens, and he is excellent at it. But he
unfortunately
there's an unfortunately. What's up with Ramsey?
Unfortunately, he is ranked per the NFL as the 11th best safety.
Oh yes, I have him in 3rd round.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is not a first rounder. This is if we decide to take wide receiver and other stuff up there, one of our third rounders could easily be used on this.
I mean, fair. We do, like you said, we do have 3 third rounders, so we're gonna get a steal from something in one of those.
Oh, I agree. Even if we trade up to, I mean, three third rounders is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you in chat. Wide receiver needs to be a big priority in the top 2. I mean, we had problems with Jalen Rand or DK. We had problems with DK.
Yeah.
While we are all ecstatic about Michael Pittman, we don't know what we're gonna get just because he hasn't played. Not saying he's gonna be bad. We just
And
don't
we
know.
don't know who's throwing to him.
Right. So I think in a perfect world, you kind of get a few wide receivers in the draft. No, you get one early that's a top 10 player, and then in the 4th, 5th, 6th, you kind of get a depth guy, right? And see what happens.
100%. There's no question about that. And I'm glad that other people are saying it and I'm not crazy, because in almost every mock draft that I have done, I have taken, like you said, a wide receiver nice and high, but then I've taken another with one of the third rounds, then I've taken one with a 6th, and just having all those different guys. And now they're all not the same guys. They're all very different wide receivers that you could bring in for different things, because Mike McCarthy said in his introductory press conference, he's looking for wide receivers that in a ideal world can play all 3, the X, Y, and Z. Wants to be able to play all 3 positions. And I expect the versatility is going to have a lot to do with whatever wide receivers they do bring.
Before we hop off here, Zach, one last question. What are your top 3 positions the Steelers should not draft?
Should not draft.
Or at least not focus on in the first, 4 rounds.
Oh, tight end, edge rusher, and center.
Okay. I agree with the edge rusher. I think
you think we should take a tight end? No, that's not. I was not. If it came across sarcastic, it wasn't. I'm legitimately interested because I have not seen anyone maybe say they were supposed to take a tight end. So I genuinely want to know.
I would take a tight end in round 3 with a huge asterisk. If you are not going to play Pat Freiermuth as the number 1 catching tight end, and I mean like what we saw with Big Ben in the early years, then I would consider drafting a tight end that was you thinking was going to take that spot, because unfortunately Washington is never going to be that. He's going to be your big guy that you're going to throw to occasionally. He's never going to be that. He's never going to be, Gronk. He's never going to be
Tony Gonzalez.
He's never going to be the Chiefs tight end. Nathan, that is a great question, because I did not look at tight ends at all. But if it just needs to be said, if you're not looking at Pat Freiermuth being that tight end that you think that you're gonna play and like throw to, like we saw him go down last year, then you really got to look at somebody who you will throw to. And while I want it to be Muth, I love Muth. He's on my jersey collection that I need to get. You gotta have a tight end that you can throw to, and unfortunately, Washington is not the one that you can throw to as reliable as other. And that's nothing against Washington. He just doesn't have that speed. You know what I mean? You can throw it to him all the time. He can bust through the first 2-3 people, but he's never going to be like Gronk, busting through the whole team. He's never going to be like Tony Gonzalez and stuff like that. So that would be the only gray area that I would take a tight end in the draft. I would sign a tight end undrafted, but do not waste a a pick on a tight end if you're going to be using Pat Fryermuth like he was used. If you're just going to use him as a blocking tight end, which is shoddy at best, maybe consider using one of those extra picks.
I'll say if we get to the season and for some reason we trot out Pat Fryermuth as our blocking tight end, I will be convinced it's a franchise sickness that we don't know how to use players in the correct position rather than just the last era. Because Pat Fryermuth, everyone who knows Pat Fryermuth has to follow up anything they say with, but he's not a good blocker. Because we all know Pat Fryermuth is not a good blocker. So I 100%
he's not a good blocker, but he's an okay blocker. And that's the problem that people want. People want him to be this epic, growth every year that he's going to block. He has some good blocking, but he has a lot of bad blocking. And that's okay. He is not a blocking tight end. He is a catch and run tight end. And if you're not going to use him as a catch and run tight end, perhaps it's time to say, thank you for your service. Enjoy the bench of another team. That's it.
I genuinely wouldn't. If that was the plan, they knew ahead of time, and they had the guy that they were going to draft, then I would not. It wouldn't surprise me to see Pat Fryermuth traded. That actually might be one of the more quote unquote surprising draft day things.
Hey, Dave. Hey, David, go fuck yourself.
Goodness, they're just coming for people tonight.
I know.
Yeah, tight end. That's. But I get what you're saying about Pat Fryermuth, but I honestly think that it was something about. I don't know if it was Arthur Smith or if it was how the offense was run. I don't know what it was, but I honestly kind of feel like they forgot Pat Fryermuth on the roster.
He mentioned it in the locker room at the end of the season that he was disappointed with how they used him.
I don't think we're going to trade him. I think we will use him consistently over the middle of the field.
Was that bad usage? Or was that Aaron Rodgers throwing him in the doghouse because he messed up?
If that's true, then Aaron Rodgers should have thrown like 3 other people in before him.
He threw Calvin in the doghouse. He threw Warren in the doghouse.
Jonnu Smith shouldn't have gotten a single snap if that was true. I think our coordinators were over their heads. I think we had too many moving pieces. Kind of like back in the season, if anybody can remember, or if people were too young, the season we drafted Dre Archer. We had no idea what the fuck to do with that guy. Fastest guy in the league, no idea what to do, ended up gone a little bit later. The Steelers have this thing where if we have too many moving pieces, we didn't know what to do with them. And I think we handed Arthur Smith this, and he's like, okay, I'll use some of them. And then he stops, like, oh, damn it, I have these guys. And he goes over, and then he forgets. And it was that the whole season, where Matt Canada just forgot there was anybody at all. I think, like I said, I'm trying to take off the glasses of what the era used to be like in the Steelers.
Right. And it's completely new.
Exactly. There's nothing. The whole middle of the field, not a thing. The whole bad challenges, not a thing. All the things we're used to knowing as the Steeler way are not a regular occurrence now. We don't know what Mike McCarthy is going to do as a Steelers coach. There's so much unknown.
Listen, Zach, if we don't use Pat Fryermuth as a catching tight end this season, bring back Cordell Patterson, because at least they used him to catch passes.
You know what? How dare you put that into the atmosphere where little things that grant wishes can hear you, and wherever Patterson is shoveling snow and taking pictures of it, he's going to hear you and he's going to come back. What the hell is wrong with you?
What's wrong with me is I'm tired of seeing players not used how they should be, so we bring in players that shouldn't be used a certain way, used as those replacements. That's what's wrong with that.
And I will say that at the beginning of when today, I specifically said that I think we're going to finally move past the right play, wrong player, right scheme, all of that happened. I think we're going to move past it. I genuinely believe that we're going to do the easy things consistently. And it's not just getting back to fundamentals. It's 2nd and 3. Let's do an out route, pick up the 3 yards, and move next instead of 2 tosses.
Yes.
Things
I know
like
last year. You go.
Oh no, I was just going to say something frustrating. Continue.
I know last year, I came on your show right before the season started, and it was, what was my predictions and how I felt about the season and all that. And I told you I was worried, and I'm not as worried this season. There's only two outcomes in the season. There's no middle ground. We're going to the
That's gonna.
playoffs, and we're gonna make a run, and we're gonna make a deep run with Will motherfucking Howard, Ohio, or top 10 pick. That's it.
That's it. It does, and I this is why I'm kind of confused why people are still so desperately intent on seeing only the negative because uh, what's the downside of this season? What seriously? What is the downside of this season? We're probably going to lose some games, and if we do, we finally get a pick that is not the 20th. Or
Yeah.
we find out, hey, look, this guy Will Howard can fucking ball. I'm glad we put these weapons around him, and Will Howard smiles and leads us to a playoff win.
And if we
There,
go
there's
9-8,
that.
Mike McCarthy, get the fuck off the team.
Honestly, if we go 9-8, I don't think that would have anything to do with that. I think everyone should just turn and look at Rooney at the exact same time and not stop looking at him until he does something about it.
Agreed.
So, but
Sell the team,
that's for
Rooney.
another day. That is for another day. I will say really quick before we close it out, you don't have to give me an exact grade or anything. If you had to give a grade or just a general feeling of confidence, where would that be for where the Steelers are now?
A plus.
I like that. I said A,
I'm
and
with-
the only reason I said A is because I don't know what we're gonna draft yet, so I'll wait for the plus till then.
I'm very much I go with what I see, and I mean, you cannot argue it. It is a fact. The Steelers are a better team today than they were pre free agency.
Agreed.
That's it.
100%.
Even if we don't have a quarterback, it does not matter who the quarterback is.
And
The
and
quarterback play will be elevated by those around him. That's why Tom Brady always took a hometown discount with the Patriots, because he wanted those players that would elevate his play. Yes, he was a god at quarterback, but his play was elevated by those around him. And I thoroughly believe, hand to God, if Geno Smith was on our team, we're going to the playoffs next year. So,
honestly, I would not have minded that. Geno Smith, veteran minimum, come in, be a game manager, enjoy the fuck out of yourself. I actually was really disappointed when he signed somewhere else, but Will Howard could definitely be that. We just need a game manager. And I don't mean that in the derogatory way a lot of people tend to mean that. I find game managers as very impressive types of quarterback, as it really means, oh, you know what? Nate, no, Kirk Cousins. No Kirk Cousins. Said Geno Smith. Goodness gracious. So, but I don't. There's no wrong answer at quarterback this year because we've kind of built it. Now there's answers I'll get frustrated with, but I don't think there's a wrong one unless we overpay or take someone with a first round pick. So before we can, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Is it just me? I think it's just me. I don't know where we lost Relic. Relic, just for the record, I cannot hear you. So in case that is so, that was the off-season recap from the Steel City Huddle. LeeAnn's on vacation. LeeAnn will still be on vacation on Tuesday. I'm going to have Nate Skinner as a guest back on here, and we are going to do a deep dive into some of those draft play prospects that you probably have not heard of at all. Relic, you back? No. Yep. I figured Relic was out. Well, I appreciate all of you guys for coming. It was an incredible chat tonight. I really appreciate all of you guys. We are going to be back as long as my health allows it on Tuesday. I don't know. Relic jumps in. I don't know what happened. I'm just sitting here doing my thing. It was I don't know. acting like I purposely do that. So everybody from us, have an incredible weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you on Tuesday. Here we go.
LeeAnn and Zach would like to thank you for tuning in to the Steel City Huddle podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.